Welcome to another episode of Fear the Old Lore, where we examine the English and Japanese of games for more insight into their lore. Over the years, there's been a lively debate about what the true face of man in Dark Souls really is. Some believe the true face of man belongs to Hollows. Others believe it comes from the humanity sprite or darkness itself. So where does this disagreement come from? In Dark Souls 3, Yuria says the following once you have all 8 dark sigils and are prepared to link the fire.
I prithee, play the usurper. When the moment cometh to link the fire, wrest it from its mantle. The age of fire was founded by the old gods, sustained by the linking of the fire. But the gods are no more, and the all-powerful fire deserveth a new heir. Our Lord of Hollows, it shall be, who weareth the true face of mankind.
When taken at face value, the implication is obviously that Hollows bear the true face of mankind. I don't want to get too into the specifics of the Japanese, where Yuria says something more along the lines that being hollow is the form that men should have, because even in English, I think there's plenty of room to doubt what Yuria says. After all, it's Yuria who tells us Orbeck of Vinheim has proclaimed himself Lord of Hollows and would be a threat to our rule, so we should kill him. Yet, if we spare Orbeck, nothing of the sort happens, and he's free to die being a nerd with his nose in the books in the Regal Archives. If Yuria is willing to deceive us about the need for killing Orbeck, and if she's willing to lead Henri down a path of sacrifice, would she be willing to deceive us about the form that man should have? Maybe. But for the sake of argument, let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she's not lying to the player in this specific instance, and she truly believes the hollow form is the one that man should have. Why? This is a complicated issue to unpack, and I can't exactly speak entirely for Yuria, so let's start from the beginning.
Then from the dark they came, and found the souls of lords within the flame.
The circumstances of how the Lord Souls were discovered remain a mystery, but one thought that's remained pervasive within the community at large is that it's possible Gwyn, Nito, the Witch of Izalith, and the furtive pygmy were like hollows when they initially discovered their souls, and were transformed as a result of their power. While this can't be either proven or disproven, there's a certain sense to it that if the Lords lacked souls, they'd be similar to the mindless hollows who roam around ever in search of more souls. I would be more in favor of this interpretation if Gwyn and company were confirmed to be the first humanoid beings, but with Gwyn canonically having an uncle in Allfather Lloyd, gives me pause in believing it fully. Another piece of the puzzle comes in the form of Aldia and Vendrick's dialogue in Dark Souls 2.
Once the Lord of Light banished dark and all that stemmed from humanity, and then assumed a fleeting form. These are the roots of our world. Men are props in state of life, and no matter how tender, how exquisite, a lie will remain a lie. Young Hollow, knowing this, do you still desire peace?
One day fire will fade, and dark will become a curse. Men will be free from death, left to wander eternally. Dark will again be ours, and in our true shape, we can bury the false legends of Yore. Only, is this our only choice? Seeker of fire, coveter of the throne. Seek strength. The rest will follow.
There are a few discrepancies with both Vendrick and Aldia's dialogue worth mentioning. When Aldia says the Lord of Light banished dark and all that stemmed from humanity, the Japanese is a little closer to, long ago, the one who became Lord of Light confined the darkness that is called by the name of man, and man gained a fleeting form. Such was the beginning of the way of the world. All man is in the midst of a false life, but no matter how gentle,
How beautiful. In the end, a lie is no more than a lie.
Peace grants men the illusion of life. Shackled by falsehoods, they yearn for love, unaware of its grand illusion. Until the curse touches their flesh. We are bound by this yoke. As true as the dark that churns within men.
Man is made to live within the midst of tranquility. Thus they come to cherish and believe in their fake prisons, even though everything is a lie. That is, until the time the curse is finally revealed within them. This is the yoke that has been thrust upon us, for it is darkness itself which is the truth that dwells within man.
The English versions of these dialogues hint at it, but they fail to properly convey the degree in which Aldia and Vendrick insinuate that life is a lie. Burying the false legends of Yore Vendrick speaks of means an end to life itself, and both he and Aldia hesitated at going through with it.
I am no king. I am more fit to be a jester. I was unaware of my own blindness. We are feeble vessels with feebler souls. We would cast aside the prop of life, only to face greater hardship. Are you another such fool, or something more?
I'm a fool. A pitiful fool. I didn't know how much of a fool I was because of a fleeting vessel, a false soul. Do you wish to rid yourself of false life? Do you wish for hardship? You're another fool then. Or perhaps...
All men trust fully the illusion of life. But is this so wrong? A construction of facade, and yet a world full of warmth and resplendence. Young Hollow, are you intent on shattering the yoke, spoiling this wonderful falsehood? I am Aldia. I sought to shed the yoke of fate, but failed. Now, I only await an answer. Seek the throne. Seek light, dark, and what lies beyond.
Letting the fire fade means turning one's back on life, even if it's a false one. Men will be free from death and gain eternity in the forms they once had, in darkness. And men cannot bring themselves to accept their fate because it would mean an end to their sense of self they attained in their false lives.
In the past, humans were one with the dark. The former king of light, he feared humans. Feared that they would usher in an age of dark. How queer you humans. How you go on, never separating truth from fiction.
Shadow is not cast, but born of fire. And the brighter the flame, the deeper the shadow. Inherit fire and harness the dark. Such is the calling of a true leader.
And so, she lived in fear of the dark, of the things that gnawed at her flesh, and yet the abyss hath yet to produce any such creature. Fear not the dark, my friend, and let the feast begin. And so, despite his weighty armor, he lived in fear of a delicate thing, little more than a girl. Where fire resideth, shadows twist and shrivel, but in the abyss there are shadows none. Fear not the dark, my friend, and let the feast begin.
This place is welcome to all, provided due reverence is shown. Death is equitable, accepting. We will all one day be welcomed by her embrace.
From these sets of dialogues, we can infer that since man is or was once one with the dark, that the true face of man also comes from the dark and should thus be akin to something like a humanity sprite, and the hollow is merely the fleeting vessel through which man is granted the illusion of life. So does that mean Yuria is wrong for saying that hollows are the most honest shape of man? Not exactly. Depending on your view of what man is in the Dark Souls universe, one could easily argue that the dark or humanity sprites don't fit the necessary criteria to be called man on their own. Likewise, I don't think it's fair to say that the mindless hollows who've lost their humanity fit the bill either. So where does this leave us? Just as Vendrick asks if it's their only choice to forsake a false life and return to darkness, Yuria would try to upend the way of the world and gain life eternal as a hollow by ridding the world of the disparity between life and death, which is why Henri comes back in the Lord of Hollows ending. In other words, Yuria denies the truth of what man is and seeks to change it out of attachment to life itself.
What is this curse? The question rings in my mind, but I haven't the focus to answer it. Loss frightens me no end. Loss of memory, loss of self. If I were told that by killing you I would be freed of this curse, then I would draw my sword without hesitation. I don't want to die, I want to exist. I would sacrifice anything at all for this. It shames me, but it is the truth.
So is the hollow form the one that man should have? Or is it no more than a lie that's been imposed upon them by the gods? Like most things in Dark Souls, it seems open to interpretation. It's possible the truest form of man comes from humanity, but it's also possible that humanity doesn't encompass all that is man. Or perhaps both ideas are wrong, and it's something else entirely. I used to be more against the ideas of hollows being the true face of man, but now I'm not so sure. So what do you think? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And if you want to discuss more lore, feel free to join the Discord. The link is in the video description. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't, and a special thank you to all my patrons and channel members for your continued support. It means a lot. If you'd like to support the channel more, you can do so for as little as $1 a month and be granted permanent access to the secret Discord channel where I post pictures of what's been described as the world's blurriest dog, or early access to my scripts and videos. Fear the old lore.